Hello everyone, Krydex here, and welcome back to pYanodon's Season 3. We're growing some kickalk, we're getting some animals processed, and we are making things happen. I noticed right at the end of the last episode, some of you may have caught this, we wasted some formic acid. I don't know if you guys remember, but over here, we had an exhaust vent for formic acid because we wanted to keep chopping the Vrauks, and we hooked up the new formic acid to the old one. Oh, also I need to give him some food. And so the new formic acid just immediately overflowed into that exhaust valve. So we probably lost a good amount of formic acid, but it's fine, whatever. I need coffee. It's just Vrauks that we lost, you know, no big deal. Gives us more Vrauk parts in the long run, I guess. More jerky. But anyway, so we're gonna go get this caravan running. No, there. Okay, so then this is gonna last a long time. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of caravan actions. The brains are definitely gonna be spoiled by then, which is fine. And yeah, that means this thing is done. That feels really weird, but like, it's full on done. I don't know how to feel about that, but it's over. This slaughterhouse is forever retired. Oh, that feels wrong. I don't know, man. I'm not comfy with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong about it, but it just... That slaughterhouse did its work for 100 hours or whatever. I don't know when we started. Yeah, it was about 20 hours in that we did circuits. What was it? We hit circuits at 24 hours. So, yeah. Oh, our first Vrauk was at 26 hours. Okay, never mind. Because latex isn't part of circuits. But still, it was before we hit 30 hours that all of this was happening. So we'll remove this belt, no longer needed. So weird. I don't know how to feel about it. It's okay. Growth requires change, I guess. And then, yeah, that's still measuring. Vrauk's on the belt and Augs on the belt. Those things are all still working. And we should be pretty close to getting kickalk finished here. And then at some point we'll have to switch over. Oh wow, this looks really funny. We'll have to switch this one over to all the AUG processing, which means animal samples are going to be a little tricky. We're going to have to import a lot of stuff at once via trains. And then the problem is the lard spoils so fast, 2 hours. So we're gonna end up with probably a good amount of bio crud somewhere in the process. So like, we should at least get fresh parts though, and then we'll just have to re-provide the spoiled parts to the train network. I think will be the situation. Okay, so back to here. And we should be able to get some more kickalk going. Beautiful. 62 more. We're We're gonna get column 1 done. And we have begun column 2. Nice. And they're all running. A lot of them even have 30 seeds at this point. So our overall production rate of cacalc is up to 48 a minute. Half of that needs to go back into seeds. So really only 24 a minute. But that's a lot. You know, we're closing in on like half a cacalc per second now. And so we got all sorts of cacalc seeds popping out. Cool, cool, cool. Wow, there's 29 more. Okay, well, what else do we need to do? I feel like there was some other thing. I should have put it on my to-do list. I don't remember. Wasn't there something else in the crap that we needed to do? Let's go take a look. Feel like... Excuse me, there was something. Okay, we got the reintegration of animals done. We got this all set up still, that's correct. Things look okay for now. What I'm realizing I might want to do to provide more space is this. And then we're gonna move this. Okay, hold on. We want to take that, put it there. And then we'll take this, and then we'll do this, and then that. Where did that come from just now? Whatever. It's a good spot to put more. Anyway. So now we've got 2 squares. And the reason that's useful is so that I can do this. And then put this up here. And then we can make these long inserters. And then I can make another one that goes on the close side. Like that. And that way we can, it's not as fast, but it's close to as fast, you know, 0.857 versus 1.2. And that way we can get stuff going like that, and then we have better space efficiency is the word I'm looking for, I guess. So now I can just change to brains, not guts. Not guts, but brains. Not guts, but meat. Guts, but meat. No guts. No guts. I guess that's all we have for now, is those 3. And then we can just preemptively put lard in here because we're gonna need it. Is that the correct lard, by the way? I think it is. That's the nice thing about Filter Helper, is it's always gonna have the item that's actually in the chest sitting in front of you, so that's really nice. That wire can't be stretched any longer. Well, good thing I don't need it to be. It didn't need to be connected there. Alright, and then we've got this going. Oh, that's interesting. Ah. There we go. So if the one that's on the close side is, what am I trying to say? Yeah, this one's a lot faster if it's on the far side, because it doesn't have to shrink the inserter arm as much. That's a very important point. Shift X, Shift X, Shift A. If you're curious about what my hotkeys are, Shift X is the one that goes full lengthening. Shift A is the front. Shift Q is the drop offset, and Shift Z is the pickup offset. And then there's Shift E, which is the rotating the pickup side. Those are all my hotkeys that I have. So wait, what was I supposed to do? This one goes A, but then that one does Q. Okay, cool. That'll allow me to extract more efficiently from the chest. It doesn't need that much storage space. It's more just for the size. Oh, there's just one cycling around. I get it, because this requires there to be two. That's funny. So as soon as there's less than 2 on the belt, why don't I do less than 1? As soon as there's 0 on the belt. Now, should I also read the contents? Because then... And then we can treat the contents as being on the belt network? Yeah, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense. Here's the problem. Well, this is going to be a problem, no matter what I do. If there's a trickle of Vrauks, let's say, just enough that there was always enough for one machine to be running, but not all 5, right? Then what would be happening is we would... But that's never going to happen. We're delivering with trains. They come in batches. So, never mind. We're fine. We're fine. I don't need to worry about that. But if you were producing, you know, the animals and belting them straight here, that could be a problem. Because if there was a trickle such that only one machine could run constantly, then it would keep thinking we have enough Vrauks to keep doing Vrauks, but then most of the machines would be, what's the word? They would be dormant. That's not the right word. Idle. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. So if I read the contents, now the contents of the machine will also be considered to be on the belt, which will mean that it should at least finish running rather than change. Wait, isn't it supposed to finish running anyway? Oh. Trixie. Trixie. I see you. I see what you're doing here. I see what's happening here. We are in the brief moment where it's off the belt and going into the building. We are losing the knowledge that we have a caged Vrauk in the system. So now it shouldn't ever see that we don't have a caged Vrauk, and then it should actually start the recipe. And once the recipe starts, we're good to go. If it switches once the recipe starts, we're okay. Yeah, there we go. That was funny. I was like, what is going on? Okay, so that is the system. I think it's pretty much done, and once we move over other animal types to be processed here, we can add in the relevant pieces. Because right now, none of these... I guess the brains are technically relevant. So we want brains to be at 15%. What percentage do we need brains to be at? What's kind of our minimum delivery? If we're delivering 500 brains... what's our brain division? 25 stacks, so that would be a fifth. So that'd be 20% brains. I mean, really, most of these should probably be at like 40%. We'll run any animal if we're less than 40% of what we want. Okay, so something like that. This is just so cool. I'm a really big fan of this. I don't know what you guys think, but I like it. And now we're gonna head back over, and we should be able to pretty much finish out Kickalc right now. So what's next? I mean, we've done a lot. And we haven't been looking at Pi2 in a while. What is next? We could put cotton guts on trains, Malaysia on trains. Those are two things that have to get done. Oh yeah, look at all these seeds. It's glorious. Nice. We're gonna be done any minute now. The seeds have propagated all the way to here, as far as backing up, which is glorious. We're up to almost 50 Kickalc a minute. I mean, at this point, I could probably just sit here and babysit it. And no, I already mentioned, I'm not gonna let the bots do it. I get to do this. This is my joy. They're not gonna steal my joy. But yes, it would be automated if I did that. You know what? I'm just gonna put them wherever at this point, because the seeds are gonna be fully backed up soon. Yeah, what do we want to do next? Okay, so looking into the Peregrine thing. Cytostatics. We need sea sponges? That's a whole thing. Albumin is just blood. And the Flutec is Decalin and PP6. And the Decalin is just metals and aromatics, which is really weird, but it's relatively cheap. And the cobalt fluoride is some acid gas, some hot air, some REO, rare earth oxides, and cobalt extract. And the cobalt extract is a mixture of cyanic acid, nickel, REO, rare earth ore. It's different than rare earth oxides. Because rare earth oxides require the processing of rare earth ore, which is a few steps. Which I don't even think I've researched it yet. Rare earth oxides. Well, so rare earth ore goes to rare earth powder. Rare earth powder goes to rare earth dust. Rare earth dust goes into probably rare earth mud. And then that goes into rare earth slurry. And then that goes into rare earth solution. And then that goes into rare earth concentrate. And then that goes into rare earth oxides. It's a mini stepped process, as you can see. So that's ahead of us. And then sea sponges are a whole thing. When do we research that? Sea spong. Spongy. Oh, we've got a lot of researches left. Ooh, doggies. That's not for a long time. The actual stuff we need to start them, though, we're already good to go. And then the reproduction complex. What is Zyapho? I'm gonna call that Zyapho. Zyaphy? Maybe it's Zyaphy. That actually sounds correct to me. So those produce shells and arthropod blood. Interesting. Oh, that's crazy. You can ironize arthropod blood to get regular blood. That's cool. I mean, I'm probably never gonna do that, but never say never, I guess. So the sea sponges make 2 sprouts per sea sponge, and then you can grow up sprouts into full sea sponges by adding muddy sludge and Zogna bacteria. And then the sponges are the modules. The problem is, most of the time, it's the sponges that are the ingredient in the recipes, not the sprouts. So the sprouts themselves are really only used, yeah, to produce more sea sponges. So you do have to use Zogna bacteria to produce sea sponges. And Zogna bacteria, as we know, is annoying. Well, yeah, I guess the petri dishes we're not mass producing yet. The other stuff is not that bad. There's another recipe later. Is that faster? 5-second crafting time, 8-second crafting time. But we don't need the lamps. But yeah, we're gonna need to ramp up our agar production, which means seaweed, which doesn't spoil. We need a big seaweed. Seaweed on trains. Yeah, I mean, this whole thing is just gonna... There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Oh, beautiful. Look at all that kick out. These have seeds, these have seeds. Even these have seeds. Everybody has seeds now. There's seeds making it past the end and going back into the cycle. That's so exciting. That's super exciting. All right, well, in that case, I'm feeling that, what's it called? Choice paralysis? That's not, I feel like that's not the right word that I'm looking for. Decision paralysis. Thank you. That's the one. Whoever said it out loud at your screen at home, I heard you. I heard you from the future, through the internet, through the monitor. I heard you say decision paralysis. Let's see, artificial blood. We already looked at that. So rare earth is kind of the only new thing in all of that. I guess there's also the sponges. Everything else is just getting stuff onto trains. So the rare earth chain. What else is new in here? Primers, DNA polymerase, microfiber. Primers are actually not bad, so we need Fawoge. Fawoge. On trains. We're gonna need, oh shoot, what was the other one I was just about to type in? I mean, we're gonna need sap on trains. There's so many things. Oh, Arqads. We need Arqads. Formamide is just CO2 and ammonia in a loop. Okay. Alright, so why don't we check out Arqads? Let's look at that whole Arqad situation. Because it is kind of a lot. And our research is finally getting us to Arqads being in the view, the front view mirror instead of the rear view mirror. So Arqads, we need to look in here. So the first Arqad is made from coke oven gas. Weird. And we get eggs to start. So the reason for that, I might be remembering, and it's a painful reason. So we'll just need a bunch of coke oven gas over wherever we're doing this, which is kind of annoying. Temperature doesn't matter. Can you barrel coke oven gas? No, that's doubly annoying. Well, I might take all of this over to where I'm making coke oven gas then. Where am I making coke oven gas? I guess I'm making it here, but I don't have any sort of buffer for it. Do I? No, I don't. Let me go get a buffer for Arqads going. Don't get run over by a train. Guess we can drive around this little peninsula. Reverse peninsula? Peninsula? That's not a word. Alright, so then what we want is for... which temperature? I guess it's the hot that we need to buffer. The cold will only buffer if we're making a bunch of hot air. So that's gonna be right here. I can buffer some more coke oven gas there for Arqads. And then, so yeah, that makes 1 Arqad and 10 eggs. But the problem is, how do you make more Arqads? Well, you need to grow them up using Arqad nests, which, oh my gosh, biomass, natural gas. So we've got nat gas needed. And then Ralasia, which we need to put on trains. We already know that. So, Arqad nest is a Vrauk that has been infused, poor thing, with, why do I need Vrauk food? I don't understand that part. But basically the maggots, and this is very accurate. I just watched the Z Frank video on parasitoid wasps, and they lay their babies in other insects or whatever so that they can grow up that way. So this is a very, very accurate view on how wasps, how the Arqad do. But we need the Arqad honey barrel, an empty, God, there's so many ingredients. And then that makes an Arqad nest. And then the maggots come from, we need caged Vrauks to make maggots too. That's a whole thing. So then, wait, at what point, I'm missing something. Why do we need the queen? What's the Arqad queen for? Oh, it's for making the eggs. Right, so the Arqads in the... oh, this is a confusing loop. You know what, I might actually make it in Hell mod because this is getting to be too much. Was this our generic animal situation? It was. Let's go ahead and do that. Add recipe, Arqad. So this one, make it a block. 1 per second is probably not realistic, but we'll at least start with that, because then we can understand how much 1 Arqad costs us. All right, so then the nest comes from this recipe. Also made in the apiary hydrocarbon plants. And then the maggots come from this recipe, but that's made in Vrauk paddocks. And we also need Vrauks and Vrauk food, but then the eggs, this is what comes from the reproductive complex. And red hot Coke, I mean, could you be more of an annoying recipe? Goodness. Are these the same recipe? No, that one has Ralasia. I need to check. Do we get multiples? I do. I get the Ralasia one automatically. So we turn 7 Arqads into 15 eggs. It's a slightly better ratio. But it's a much better ratio for Red Hot Coke. We're less likely to lose the queen per egg. And it's a better ratio of nat gas and Arqad honey. So then... Okay, hold on. I guess we can try both and see which one we prefer. Because the Ralasia per second... I mean, I don't know how many Arqads we're actually going to need. But the Ralasia per second is definitely non-zero. We also need Ralasia for that. Okay, we're gonna need about a matching amount of Ralasia to the apiary places if we want to use that recipe. If we don't use that recipe, we'll need about half as many anyway. Oh, and this also saves us on repro complexes because it's a faster recipe. In that case, I think it's probably worth it. Just because of the efficiency we get on Arqad honey and stuff like that. Because I don't even know. That's more honeycombs. Where do the filled honeycombs come from? That's just them. That's just a freebie. That's basically Ulrich's getting chomped on. And then the empty honeycombs is... Oh my god, this is all so much. The empty honeycombs come from just wax in a casting unit. And then the wax can come from melting down used combs as well. So we get 0.278 gives us enough. So many. Why is an Arqad empty honeycomb not the same as an empty comb? Why is there two types of honeycombs? Good gravy. So an empty comb is also a casting unit with wax. Different kind of comb though. Good gravy. And overall, we have some loss in the system, it looks like. I mean, I figured we would. But this one seems not lossy. That goes to 0.278 used comb. And if that was the only one we were using, the 0.278 used comb goes with... It makes enough Arqad empty honeycombs to make enough Arqad honeycombs to make... So the Vrauk maggot Arqad egg loop is sufficient, self-sufficient, but it's the growing up Arqad loop that is not self-sufficient. Because that one needs enough wax from used combs. That uses more combs than we make from that. Okay. I mean, I think I was looking at all that correctly. So then, where do we get wax from originally? Wait, what? Okay, we can turn sugar into wax. Weird. But barreled. Okay. So that is how we get the extra wax, I guess? Because there's no other way to make the combs, right? There's so many things going on here. So many things going on. Wow. Okay, so anyway, we need a little bit more wax. So let's bump that down to what, 80%? Is that, did I manage to get it exactly right? I think I did. Yeah, at 80%, we have no, okay, perfect. I figured it would be a nice number. And it is. Okay, so 80% of that, and then we need more wax. This time coming from unbarreling, because the wax barrels come from sugar. And then the sugar, oh god, we could get from bones and sweet syrup or from Arqad honey. What the heck is sweet syrup? Lime and A-type molasses. What the heck is A-type molasses? Tufra. Okay, so we need to grow potatoes for our initial sugar. Is that what I'm catching here? Because I'm pretty sure we can't make Arqad honey without Arqads. The Arqad honey... Wait, didn't I already look at that? No, I didn't. Arqad honey comes from... Arqad honeycomb. Oh no, we did already look at that. The Arqad honeycomb... Wait, this is so confusing. We have barrels of Arqad honey, we have liquid Arqad honey bopping around. Barrels of wax, regular wax. What was I looking at? I'm so confused right now. So the Arqad honeycomb is what has Arqad honey in it. And that gets created by having some Arqads, Ulrichs, and Arqad empty honeycomb. So we do need wax to get Arqad honey. We need wax and Arqads. That's it. And Ulrichs. That's a whole nother topic. And the wax comes from sugar. And sugar can come from Arqad honey, but now you see we're in a loop. So the first wax, unless I'm missing something, has to come from Tufra. So that means we need potatoes before we need... before we can make Arqads. Because we need to make some sugar to make the initial wax. Because all we need is sugar and some initial Arqads. Okay, so that's all a thing. Good night. So we're gonna need Ulrichs. We're gonna need so many things. Ulrichs on trains. We're gonna need Tufra on trains. So Arqads are still pretty far away. Brauk food needs a bunch of stuff that we kind of already have. Seaweed, moss. We will have Fuoge. Cellulose, what is that again? Wood and limestone? Or wood and sodium hydroxide? Huh. Okay, well that's a problem for tomorrow. And by tomorrow I mean like weeks from now, probably. So the last thing we need to figure out, I say that like this has been simple, is the queens. So the queens are a thing that if you're ever around on the Pi Discord, you'll read that it's a big nightmare. Because you need to reproduce them. And you only get a 1% chance to get an Arqad queen when you use up an Arqad nest. So you have to run this on average 200 times to get 2 queens. Now you don't need 2 queens to reproduce, I don't think. Wait. Hold on. Oh, sorry, the recipe needs queens. It consumes... Yeah, it's weird that the queens aren't the modules, which is kind of what you'd think would be the case. But that's not the case here. The recipe... I guess you only need 1. You only need 1 queen, and if you're lucky, then that 1 queen will produce, on average... 10,000 eggs, because on average you get 1,000 uses. Yes, that's correct. So 10,000 eggs then is more than enough to produce more queens, right? Because how many eggs went into one nest? I have no idea. Well, one nest. Good night. I'm gonna triple the number here so that these numbers look nicer. There we go. So 5 eggs go into one nest. And we just discovered that... What did we discover? Sorry guys, my brain is on maximum overdrive. So 1 queen makes 10,000 eggs for now. And then that queen cost me... I mean, God, at some point... Is it just easier to make the Arqad queen this way? I can just make... Forget growing them up this way. Because this way I have to spend 100 nests. And all that honey. Wouldn't it just be cheaper to spend some cDNA? Maybe not. That is... The DNA samples and stuff are annoying. But... Anyway, a nest cost me 5 eggs... So we're talking 500 eggs per queen, and then the queen makes 10,000 eggs. Okay, so I'm only using 5% of the potential eggs to make more queens. So we could make do with only having 1 Arqad queen. I think. And the only way that goes wrong is if we get really unlucky and the queen dies in the first 5% of her life cycle. As long as she survives for 5% of her life cycle to make 100 Arqad nests, on average, then she'll be good to go. Because then we'll have another queen. The maggots are the eggs. Now, the maggots also need Arqad honeycombs, but we already said that's just Ulrichs and Arqads and honeycombs. So we'll have to have the wax thing all set up by then. This is a lot. This is a lot of crap, y'all. Now, it's also worth looking at the egg. Where's the one that... wait, where is it? This one. So the initial one gives us 1 queen and 10 eggs. So then it's also worth noting the egg recipe consumes Arqads. We just yeet 5 of them into oblivion. I feel like I'm missing something. So... because 10 eggs turns into 10 maggots, which turns into 2 nests, which turns into 6 Arqads. That's it? Oh, that's an awful ratio. Do we get the second Arqad recipe too? Yeah, we do get the Ralasia sap. What is that adding? It adds in biome, no, nat gas, biomass, nest, Ralasia. Nat gas, biomass, nest, Ralasia. It adds in sap and red hot coke. Oh, and guys, red hot coke spoils. Oh, this recipe is way more painful with spoilage. We're gonna have to move red hot coke around the base now without it turning into regular coke. That's annoying. That's gonna be doubly annoying. I don't know how I feel about that. I guess it's technically in some ways not different than all the other things that spoil, but it feels different just because of that it's almost like a metal, you know what I mean? It's like a spoilable metal. It's not like meat or brains or something. It doesn't go with those things. Anyway, we definitely want this one because then 2 nests goes to 7.5 rather than 1 nest going to 3. So then that's 3.75 Arqads per nest instead of 3. That's 20% more Arqads per nest. And then we already determined that the Arqads themselves, we need how many to make the eggs? Is this loop not? I feel like it's not positive. Am I missing something? Okay, hold on. We need 1 high. 1 Arqad gives me 2 egg. Okay, let's bump it up. Let's say 70 Arqad. Let's just do big numbers because then they divide out better. Because we are gonna have that recipe for. We get the 2 recipes for the eggs. So we'll do the 7 to 15 one, because that's definitely more efficient than 5 to 10. Only by a little bit, but it adds up when the margins are small. And then this one, 1 nest goes to 3 versus 2 nest goes to 7.5. The other one's definitely better. And it's way faster for what it's worth. 7.5 every 120 seconds versus 3 every 140 seconds. It's more than twice as fast by adding in the sap and the red hot coke. So that's definitely attractive, and we use less natural gas and less biomass at the cost of some red hot coke, which is not expensive, it's just annoying. Anyway, so 70 Arqad makes 150 eggs. Oh, that closes that. Ugh. And then since I didn't confirm it. Okay, so 70 Arqad makes 150 eggs. Then we need a notes app that stays open better. Then the 150 eggs will make 150 maggots, and then the 150 maggots will make 30 nests. Okay, so 30. That makes 30 nests. Then from there, the 30 nests will make 15 recipes of 7.5 Arqad. Which is what? I guess it's more than 70. So we're okay. We're positive here. 15 times 7.5 is 112.5. Okay. So we net 42.5 Arqads on that exchange, which is less than half, right? Like, basically in this cycle, we've used 70 out of 112.5 to sustain the cycle. So the actual, there's probably a word for it in chemistry, as far as like how this cycle actually, you know, you guys, I think you get what I'm saying. But 70 out of we're using 62% of our production to maintain the production. So that means we're actually only netting 38% of our output is what we get to keep and actually use as Arqads. And Arqads themselves are used for what? They're used to make the queens, right? Well, what else are they used for? They're used, well, for rendering, which is a whole thing, to get Arqad venom. So that's where the venom comes from, which we needed for py2. So they are used for py2. And then they're also used to just be modules, right? We need them for modules. I guess they're not used for anything else. How is that one better? That one has a huge chance to lose the queen. There must be something else going on in that turd recipe, because that has 5 times higher chance to lose the queen. So I wonder if there's a bunch of productivity attached to that recipe or something. Anyway, this is so complex. So to get our first few queens, we can just use... Wait. What? Didn't this make it... Have I taken crazy pills? Oh, there are two recipes. Oh, okay. Okay. I'm not taking crazy pills. There are 2 recipes here. No, there aren't. Krydax, you gotta look really close at whether or not you're looking at a turd recipe or not. That one is a turd recipe. Okay. Direct queen assembly. Okay. So I could do that if I wanted to. So I'm reading all these words. Dramatic increase in hydrocarbon distribution. They're going to provide the adequate conditions for colony collapse. What does that do for you? What does that do for you? I shouldn't be looking into the turds right now, but I want to. So the colony collapse gives you a ton more lubricant, ton more honey, One more whatever. But it does give you that... Oh, okay, so that's interesting. So I was right. It does just make queens 5 times less likely to show up. Or, sorry, 5 times more likely to die. So you need to make a lot more queens to support the colony, but you get way more wax output, lubricant output from wax, and tons of Arqad honey. Interesting. Tags, plus 5% productivity. But we need to install climate adaptive glass shells, which are actually not that bad. We have all of those things already. So, and you only need to make them 1 time. Well, you need to make a lot of them though. Ugh. Okay, well, I don't know how you guys are feeling. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, but also good, because I feel like I have a grasp on how this all starts. So the first queens, that's the part we still haven't looked at yet, because I was still thinking we could make queens directly, because I was looking at the wrong thing. So the first queens we need to make with this recipe. No. This one. So we're gonna need to roll a bunch of nests. We roughly need 100 nests, which means we need 500 maggots, which means we need 500 Arqad eggs, which can only come from this. Sheesh. Okay. So that's why people talk about Arqads being expensive. Because to spin it up, you need to make about 1 billion initial cDNA style Arqads. Wow. Alright, well now's a good time to check that we have all these things running on full cylinders. Do we have a bunch of automation science backed up? We do, because we're gonna need it. Do we have cDNA backed up? Because we're gonna need it. I'm gonna let that go to another 100. Oh, okay. Sorry, we gotta change these. 200. Okay. So there's that. That'll run us more cDNA. This is going to be a lot. And then the B codice, you know, we're going to need a ton of tinned cable for that. You know, this is not the place. Sorry, we should make tinned cable somewhere else. And this episode needs to be done soon. So we're going to finish out by... Go ahead and we will put the rest of the kick-alc in the system. And then... we'll add tinned cable. Into our mall, but not in the sushi mall, because I think it's just taking too much out of the sushi. Okay, we are backed up. Oh, I never put a command to stop running these. Why do I always forget this part? This is not the first time I've done this. Okay, and then I need to copy that, and then we should just be able to paste it, and it should put the wire connections in. Boom. Okay, and then we need to copy the ones across the top. And I forgot to do the settings. Silly. Okay, and then those are hooked up to this one as well. So kick out. Let's put 400 on the belt at most. Okay, so that should stop all of those. Yikes. Let me just collect these for a minute. And then we'll fill in the rest. Okay, what do I need? About 60 more. Okay, that should do it. Yeah, let's fill, like, we're making a lot, so let's just have a backup chest that has a bunch in it. For just in case these. And we have officially spun up our kickout plantation. That feels good. And these should be stopped because we have enough. Is 400 on the belt? Hold on, hold on. We do need to look at our numbers. This is not where our numbers are. Where are... where did we make this? Is this fiber one? Yeah. Okay, so... So the amount of kick out that we're making is slightly less than the seeds. And as far as belt size, it was 50 plus 270 plus a few, plus another, I don't know, 10. 20 maybe, so 290 belts. So 290 items would be half the belt. No, a fourth of the belt. So if I wanted 3.75 kick out, I would only need 290. Wait, that doesn't sound right. 100 plus 20. 220. I only added the 50 once. That was my issue. Plus 50 twice is 320, 340. So then 340 items on the belt would be 1/4 of a lane, which would be the 1.875 or whatever. So if I have 440 on seeds, why don't we do 440 on kickout as well, just to be... this is really annoying. To change all of these, I guess I can do that pretty easy. Okay. Alright. And then those will run as long as we have that amount. Okay, cool, cool, cool. So we're done with that, and then those will stop at some point, which is great. So we'll call that an episode. As always, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think about Arqads. They are nuts, and I'll see you all in the next one.